Hey everyone! Welcome back to Dive in the Words. Today we're diving into a powerful book that's all about setting boundaries and, most importantly, finding peace. We're talking about Set Boundaries, Find Peace by the amazing Nedra Glover Tawwab. If you've ever struggled with saying no, felt overwhelmed with people-pleasing, or just wanted to take better care of your emotional health, then this video is definitely for you. Now, before we jump into the key takeaways, let's talk a little about the author. Nedra Glover Tawwab is a licensed therapist and relationship expert who's made it her mission to help people lead healthier, more balanced lives. Her advice has been featured everywhere, from the New York Times to The Guardian, and she's built a huge following on social media, where she shares all kinds of practical mental health tips. Her approach to setting boundaries is straightforward and super relatable, which is what makes this book so impactful. So let's break it down. First things first, what are boundaries and why do we need them? Well, according to Nedra, boundaries are essential for maintaining our mental and emotional health. They help us protect our time, energy, and personal space. Think of boundaries like invisible fences that keep you safe from feeling overwhelmed or drained. Without them, it's so easy to get burnt out, resentful, or stuck in unhealthy patterns. And here's the thing, boundaries aren't just about pushing people away. They're actually about fostering healthier relationships by making sure everyone knows where the line is. It's about respect for yourself and for others. So, what kinds of boundaries are we talking about? Well, Nedra breaks it down into several types: emotional, physical, time, and even material boundaries. Emotional boundaries protect your feelings. Physical boundaries safeguard your personal space. Time boundaries, well, they make sure you're spending your time in ways that align with your priorities. And material boundaries are all about deciding what you're willing to share, like money or possessions. By setting boundaries in all these areas, you're essentially giving yourself permission to prioritize your own needs and well-being. Now, you might be thinking, do I really need boundaries? If you're someone who struggles with people-pleasing, overcommitting, or feeling constantly drained, the answer is probably yes. Nedra explains that if you often feel resentful or exhausted after interactions, it's a clear sign your boundaries are too weak. And trust me, setting boundaries is not about being mean or selfish. It's about being clear and kind to yourself. Okay, so how do you actually set boundaries? This is where Nedra's advice shines. She suggests starting with small, manageable steps. Use I statements, like "I need some time to recharge," or "I'm not available for that." Simple, right? The key is to be clear and assertive without feeling guilty about it. Boundary setting isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to it, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. Speaking of guilt, let's talk about that. A lot of us avoid setting boundaries because we don't want to disappoint people or create conflict. But as Nedra points out, prioritizing your own needs doesn't make you a bad person. Feeling guilty is totally normal, but it shouldn't stop you from protecting your mental health. Setting boundaries isn't about being rigid. It's about finding balance and ensuring you're not stretched too thin. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to let go of that guilt. Now, let's talk about relationships, because boundaries play a huge role in them. Whether it's with family, friends, or at work, boundaries are necessary to keep things healthy. Nedra emphasizes that clear boundaries reduce resentment and ensure that everyone feels respected and valued. By clearly stating your limits, you're actually strengthening your relationships, not pushing people away. And you're setting an example for how you want to be treated. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Boundaries are a form of self-care. When we're constantly saying yes to things we don't have time or energy for, we're not taking care of ourselves. Nedra reminds us that it's okay to say no, and that doing so is a key part of maintaining your mental and emotional health. When you set boundaries, you're carving out time and energy for yourself, and that's something we should all be doing more often. Lastly, for anyone who's experienced a violation of their boundaries, whether at work, in relationships, or anywhere else, Nedra has some advice on how to heal. It starts with recognizing the violation and deciding how to move forward. Sometimes that means setting stricter boundaries or even distancing yourself from harmful situations. Boundaries protect our peace, and healing means reinforcing those boundaries to prevent future harm. So there you have it. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab is all about reclaiming your peace by learning to set clear, healthy boundaries. Whether it's in your personal relationships, at work, or even with yourself, boundaries are the key to living a balanced, fulfilling life. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and start living with more peace, I highly recommend picking up this book. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What's one boundary you're going to start setting today? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.